So yeah, anyway, so I says to Mabel, I says, oh, hi, how you doing? I'm Carl. Let's do a video about Alejandro Garnacho. The 18-year-old is something of a spark plug in the Manchester United team that can occasionally need a little bit of attacking thrust under Erik Ten Hag. The 18-year-old has 5 goals and 5 assists for the senior team and is having a breakout season. So, what makes him so special, and should he start for Manchester United going forward? To explain why Garnacho is so important to Ten Hag, first of all, I gotta show you a game where he was not the greatest, but kind of ambitious. This, in front of me on Tactics board, is Manchester United's starting lineup from their 2-1 victory against Barcelona in the Europa League. It was the second leg. Manchester United came into this game 2-2 after a fantastic, thrilling 90 minutes at a Nou Camp, and Erik Ten Hag needed to find a little bit of a surprise. What he did was he played Jadon Sancho as the number 10, he used Wout Weghorst as the number 9, he played Marcus Rashford on left and Bruno Fernandes on the right-hand side. Bit odd that, because in the first leg, he used Wout Weghorst as the number 10, moved Marcus Rashford as the number 9, and he had Sancho on the left-hand side. So at the Nou Camp, the plan was David De Gea would kick it long to Wout Weghorst. Wout Weghorst would collect it to his chest. Then you had Sancho running forward, you had Rashford running forward, you had Bruno Fernandes running forward as well. So that was the plan. That was loads of interplay there, and it worked because Rashford was in very good form. He scored a goal. There was loads of great things. Wout Weghorst probably could have got a goal instead. Now, at Old Trafford with Wout Weghorst as your number 9 and Sancho as your number 10, the idea was Sancho was going to alternate the ball a lot with Rashford and Weghorst, and Rashford was going to attack in deep spaces, whereas Weghorst was going to try and pin back Barcelona's back four. Bruno Fernandes has a very good orthodox in-swing cross, so that was going to go in for Wout Weghorst, and Weghorst was supposed to challenge that and head the ball in the back in there. However, Wout Weghorst, while he tries really hard, he's not the most authoritative in front of goal, so this system didn't quite work. Also, Manchester United went a goal down at half-time. Ten Hag, seeing that his team was about to unite out the Europa League, began the changes. First things first, Wout Weghorst came off, and on came Antony, but Antony didn't go up front. Antony did. He went on the right-hand side. Bruno Fernandes went into the number 10 position. Jadon Sancho went on the left, and Marcus Rashford went up front. This was a very good method in front of goal, and it created a fun situation where eventually the ball went higgledy-piggledy, and there was Fred. Fred was there on the edge of the box, scored, bing, bang, boom. So this was going on a bit, and it was kind of working, maybe, sort of, it was 1-1, you had to be really aware of counter-pressing and being really aware of the threat that Barcelona had, and then Ten Hag went, I need to make a change. Off came Aaron Wan-Bissaka, on came Diogo Dalot, and then the big one, Jadon Sancho came off, and on came Alejandro Garnacho. Now, when Alejandro Garnacho comes in for Manchester United, he has a very simple directive. Run at him. Once again, directive, run at him. While Garnacho is not the fastest player in Manchester United's ranks, that's probably Rashford in terms of an A to B sprint, he is very authoritative whenever he gets on the ball. When he gets the ball, he comes onto this left half space, and it does not matter who the fullback is, Garnacho is going to run at him. The chaos of Garnacho's movement in that left half space helped create the go-ahead goal for Manchester United. So as you can see here in the 72nd minute, Garnacho's here in the left half space. This is where he loves to operate. While Bruno Fernandes has got the attention of these two Barcelona defenders here, and also these two are looking at what Bruno Fernandes is doing as well. Progressed to play a little bit more, and Bruno Fernandes progressed and got the ball to Garnacho. Now when Garnacho is in this position, he's going to try and shoot. The really interesting thing about this is, man, look how much space he is. He possibly has enough space, time and space to take a touch, but no, he tries to hit it first time. The shot eventually is blocked, goes out to where Fred is. Fred has another attempt at scoring from outside of the box. That is blocked, and then the ball ends up with Antony. Antony then has a lovely little left-footed shot, ends up in the bottom corner. That's an example of Garnacho perhaps not being the most authoritative striker. He could have taken a touch, but in being in the right place at the right time, he helped create enough attacking chaos that Manchester United eventually got a goal. When I talk to you about Garnacho running at defenders, in front of me right now is a map of all of his ball carries from the Europa League this season. He made 50 carries, and as you can see, he gets on the ball, runs all the time in this left half space. He's always trying to cut inside. He's always trying to get shots off in and around the penalty area. So he's always doing this sort of curved banana run. See, you thought I brought a banana as just a joke, but actually this is sort of the runs he's always trying to make from the left half space. He's also trying to take on defenders all the time. This is a look at take-ons. All of the take-ons he's tried in the Europa League this season, the red dots are the take-ons he succeeded, and the white dots are times where he's lost the ball. Interesting thing here, I mean, he's really being ambitious in this area just in front of the penalty area here. He really wants to cut inside, get past the fullback, go in and eventually have a shot on his right foot. As you can see, he's not always effective. There's 2 or 3 times where Garnacho can run into double teams, sometimes even triple teams. But his confidence, especially in these wider areas, is really important, especially if you're in the last 13 minutes of games. The kids might say Garnacho is a pure hooper, someone who whenever he gets on the ball, is just gonna go, I'm going to try and get a shot off no matter what. Your dad, when he watches Garnacho, might do this. Ooh, go on, son. Ooh, God, yes! A good example of this can be found in Garnacho's 21-minute cameo in the pre-World Cup section of this season. So, the scores are tied 1-1, and Christian Eriksen passes the ball out to Garnacho out wide. You've got Manchester United trying to overload the last line of defence from Fulham, so you've got Scott McTominay here, Marcus Rashford here, and Bruno Fernandes here. Garnacho gets on the ball, he's going to drive inside, he passes back to Christian Eriksen, and then Eriksen makes a very good through ball. So in this situation here, Eriksen's got to make sure his pass is fast enough that it puts a number of these Fulham defenders out of the way, but it can't be too heavy that the ball directly goes out of play. It creates one of these situations that not every Premier League forward is going to be able to get to in time. If you remember, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer used to say one thing about Manchester United's forwards is they need to be willing to break their nose in order to get a goal. In this situation, Garnacho has to outrun 2 Fulham defenders, get onto the ball and get a shot off in basically the dying minutes. What does he do? Well, first, he gets on the ball. Then he has enough nous and talent to get off a low shot, goes in the bottom corner, and lo and behold, Manchester United beat Fulham. That was a really important win just before the World Cup. I went home after going to Craven Cottage, switched on the TV, and I found out Cristiano Ronaldo was doing an interview with Piers Morgan. The horror! However, one reason why Erik ten Hag was kind of relaxed about losing Cristiano Ronaldo in the January transfer window was because he knew Alejandro Garnacho could step up and contribute. Now, can Alejandro make another step and become a starting figure for Manchester United between now and the end of the season? The 18-year-old's just come back from an injury-enforced layoff and scored a pretty good goal against Wolverhampton Wanderers when the game was rather stretched. Bruno Fernandes played the ball over the top into centre areas where Garnacho came onto the ball before driving towards the penalty area. Then he did something that was quite clever. Rather than immediately shoot on his right foot, he checked back inside, looked to shoot on his left foot before eventually getting back onto his right and then shooting. One thing that is good about Garnacho, but may need to be worked on in future seasons, is that he's predominantly right-footed. He does a lot of step-overs and he does a lot of feints, but he's always trying to get a shot off on his right foot. If you look at a shot map, you get a portrait of a player that could one day contribute and become a 10, 15, or possibly even a 20 goal a season striker for Manchester United. As you can see once again, there's a lot of clusters of shots here in the left half space. This is Garnacho driving here, cutting inside and trying to get these shots off. If there's one thing that Garnacho needs to improve on is some of these shots here from the outside of the penalty area where the XG, if these small dots indicate low XG or low quality chances. So these shots here are Garnacho trying to shoot through a crowd of bodies, whereas what you want to do is get shots like these. Nice, bigger red ones where he's close to goal and can really bend it into the corners, which he's very good at. So, what's next? How about we take a look at Manchester United's starting 11 and I'll show you where he could play and how he could play if he was to start his next game. So, in front of me right now is Manchester United's starting lineup from that 2-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers. The simple way to make Garnacho a starting player in such a lineup is to take out someone like Jadon Sancho and bring on Alejandro Garnacho. The benefits of this come from Garnacho running at defenders. Jadon Sancho, for reasons that we still can't properly explain, does have a tendency to pass backwards or try and cut inside rather than just driving on the outside and challenging fullbacks. Garnacho, through either youth, confidence, or just he's a pure goddamn hooper, is always going to keep trying to run at fullbacks. That's really advantageous in games where Manchester United want to start fast. However, I will say, whenever Erik ten Hag talks about a substitute player's contributions in a game, he often frames them in contrast to the player they're replacing. So there's been 3 or 4 games where Antony has played the first 45 minutes before someone like Bruno Fernandes or Anthony Elanga comes on the right-hand side. And then you go, oh, Mr. Ten Hag, how comes the substitute did really well going on the outside? Should Antony try and go on the outside loads? And Ten Hag goes, The reason why the defense was so confused about the substitute coming on is because Antony softened them up previously. This is why Erik ten Hag may prefer keeping Garnacho on the bench in the games, not just towards the end of this season, but also at the start of next season. Sancho is very much a link-up wide player. He really likes it when he has a fullback that overlaps, so then he can cut inside because he doesn't necessarily have explosive pace. And he's very good in doing loads of passing triangles between himself, the deeper midfielder, the number 10, and hopefully, eventually, a number 9. Be it Martial, Weghorst, or someone else. The contrast between Garnacho and Sancho is very, very useful to Erik ten Hag in making Garnacho a substitute option. It becomes slightly different when everyone is fit, and the starting player Garnacho is coming on for is Marcus Rashford, who is another player who likes cutting inside from the left-hand side and having a shot. So, could Garnacho have a future as Manchester United's number 9? Possibly. He would probably have to gain a little bit of muscle in the gym, not that he's already done that already, and improve on his hold-up play and his link-up play. We still don't know if Garnacho wants to be essential number 9 yet, but his future is very, very bright on the left-hand side. Alejandro Garnacho is the spark plug for Manchester United. He's an excellent plan B and could be one of the best substitute options between now, the end of the season, and the start of next season as well. That's all for me. I'm going to go back to my phone call. So anyway, yeah, I says to Mabel,
if you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.